and welcome to the final furlong of GRIF 2019. So we've got an amazing afternoon for you, and we start with the most legendary Raymond Blanc. Please come to the stage, and he's in conversation with Harry McKinley, GRIF's favourite journalist. Please come on. Breathe.
Thank you very much, sir. You should never applaud before, always applaud after. Okay, très bien.
So, as you know, we have a very special guest today, Chef Raymond Blanc OBE, Légion d'honneur, proprietor of the 2 Michelin star Le Manoir in Oxfordshire, also the larger Brasserie Blanc group. I believe you've trained 38 Michelin-starred chefs, and of course you also consult on restaurant projects, so quite a full suite of talents. I noticed that the first slide you had up there was a quote from David Attenborough, which I thought was quite interesting. And so before we dive into the broader issues of sustainability, and touching, of course, upon your role as the president of the Sustainable Restaurant Association, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what has influenced your passion for this topic.
First, I will talk about the quote of David Attenborough, because this man is a legend. That man has worked with nature, whether it is sea, earth, everywhere. He's been so much deeply involved, and he has seen, and witnessed some extraordinary, damaging changes. And it's very rare for a man to make such a statement, because this man is apolitical. This man is really honest, and he never would somehow make such a statement for the sake of it. So I think we should listen to that statement, and it means something so important for all of us, hoteliers, restaurateurs, chefs, retailers, whatever. It's important. That means we need change. We need to create change.
Mm-hmm. You joined the Sustainable Restaurant Association as the president, of course, in 2012. I was wondering if you could talk a bit about how that came about and your work with that association.
Well, first, it's coming to the association, there's always a background. That means it's a belief. And my belief came very early as a child, because I come from a working class background, not a rich working class background. Okay, my papa was really a working class person. And he built his own house with his own hand, a room for 5 children, so it's a big house. He built a beautiful, huge garden after the south of Belmond, Manoir, Quat'Saisons, and this garden would provide the whole food for the 7 children, for the family of 7. There I learned all the basics, the soul, the varietals, the hard work, seasonality, and then all this work which goes on. And whilst my friends were playing football, I was digging the garden, removing the stones. Then you had to harvest all the produce, pit the pods the peas, top and tail the beans, give it tons of them, give them to your mum, who would either pickle them, preserve them, and keep them in that huge cellar, which would feed the whole family. So I understand, from growing to the table, food, what it means, its beauty, its nobility, its purity. I understand as well the pleasure to having grown that food, to eat it together around that table like you are now. Shame, I wish I could give you a bit of my food on your tables, and you learn all this from growing to cooking to celebrating food and being together as a family, as a community, and as a society. It means that much to me. That's where, basically, I base all my foundation, my simple philosophy about running my business and bringing deep in the heart of it, the core of it, the most important values: look after your staff, train them well, pay them well, just create some powerful ethics. So these ethics don't belong to me. They are shared, they then beyond share. You have the vision, then you pass it around, and you somehow, they all own it, not just me. And then you have a business which is full of purpose, which has a DNA, which has a brand, which values are about purity or aiming at, because nothing is ever perfect. What was the question?
So the SRA, Sustainable Restaurant Association, you serve as the president.
Yeah.
So of course you're really an authority on this subject. So how did that partnership come about? And can you tell us a little bit about your work with them?
It came from that, from these values. Okay, and before that I belonged to the association, Garden Organic, also is very important association. And then I love the idea of the SRA because that was the first, I believe it was the very first organization who truly understood the huge problems, of growing food, of consuming food, of the global warming, of all. They're all interlinked, and they understood that very well, and they immediately reacted to it and created this wonderful association, which has now 7,300 restaurants, which now are adhering to certain criteria of quality and who commit to change their ways. I have myself written it took me about 2 months to write all the memorandum, all the questionnaire, in order to somehow help see any business, and that's very important. The SRA is here, like many other groups, like Green Hotelier. There are some amazing other competitors, who truly. But we are here to help you to understand better, assess on how you can move forward with your business and to make it more ethical, more sustainable, better in every possible way. And I know this SI will do just that. So it's that crucial because often if you want to do it by yourself, I don't think so. It's a great idea. Get the knowledge somewhere. It's there. It's not that expensive. It's worth the investment, and I think that investment will be worthwhile.
So let's apply that to you then, because of course Le Manoir has always adopted.
I would like to say one little line here in between. Obviously, the SI, I remember one of the founder directors was Henri Dimbleby, who actually created the Good Food Plan, the Good School Plan, which gives to every child in Great Britain, a good nutritious meal every day. That represents a cost of £1.3 billion to the state, and that is commendable. It is changing things, and I think, so it's that important.
It's great.
You say that's great. You say that's great.
It is great, though.
That's great.
It's amazing, and it's great work. And of course,
fine.
And of course, sustainability isn't just about being environmentally conscious. It's about being socially aware as well.
Absolutely.
And I know that's something that you're very passionate about.
Yes, sustainability. Food connects everything. Connects. Which kind of society we're going to create tomorrow, what kind of hotels we'll create tomorrow, what kind of businesses we're going to create tomorrow, what kind of landscape, what kind of agriculture, all the decisions that we are taking now, all this discussion which now we are engaging with, it's about change, and that is exciting because we need to change. We cannot go on to do more of the same.
So let's bring it back to you in your business. Le Manoir is as a good example, a 2-Michelin star restaurant in Oxfordshire. I don't know if anyone here has been there, but it's really exceptional and one of the top dining destinations in the country. It's been sustainable from the outset. So can you talk about some of the sustainability principles that you've adopted at that restaurant?
Well, again, most of them come from my home, my family, my terroir, all the early education that I've received, at a very early age, and that is really form the core values of what I believe. That means to create a responsible luxury, and I think luxury has to change. Because luxury of all has been the most wasteful, the most careless, and it's about time now that luxury change. And it can change, it has already changed, but it can certainly change further. Okay, I think hotels overall are better organized than restaurants. Okay, but we have been an industry which has self-harmed itself, has given itself not the right image. Okay, about to recruit young people, and really our poor record. Okay, overall. Okay, as a performer. Okay, of a great employer, we need to become better employers. That's crucial. So the values I put at the Manoir, immediately I grew a huge garden, 4 times that size, okay, which grew 150 varieties of vegetables, totally organic. Okay, I grew then an orchard of 2,500 trees, which tells the story of what Great Britain lost. Each of these trees is connected to a particular region from the south to the north, okay, of what we have lost. This wonderful orchard which used to call Great Britain, and my orchard has got all of these trees. And if you, as a consumer, decide to embrace again local value, okay, rather than to import from billions of miles away a fruit, okay, let's wait, let's relearn seasonality. Seasonality is so simple. It's about home, close to home, better taste, better textures, better colors, better flavors, better nutrients. What's up? This is what I'm doing. Better nutrients, okay? And then, sorry, I just get the nose. So, stop it, you. Okay. So better nutrients. Then you help your farmer to keep his farm, to keep his craft. You help your village to keep his post office, to keep his little bank or his little pub. Then beyond that, maybe I speak to you aloud. Okay. So beyond that, as well, you don't import food from billions of miles away, which create pollutions. Then you have to clean up the pollution. Double whammy. Then, of course, the best part of this. Really? You sure? So the best part of seasonal, effectively, is that you have a glut of peas, a glut of beans, a glut of strawberries, raspberries. They are the cheapest, they're half of the price. So the argument for seasonality and local makes sense. Unfortunately, we're so used now to buy directly from billions of miles away and create all these problems, and strawberries which don't have taste, etc. So I think that's... did I answer your question?
I think so. It was great. It's really great.
Okay.
But of course, Le Manoir isn't every restaurant. You know, it has a certain price point. It has a certain exclusivity, shall we say. But of course, you have the Brasserie Blanc group as well. And I think what's so interesting, as we've discussed before, is you use a lot of the same suppliers and apply a lot of the same sustainability principles to that larger restaurant group as you do to Le Manoir. So I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about that, why sustainability isn't the exclusivity of fine dining.
I think if anything, sustainability will not be driven by luxury. It will be driven by the high street. It will be driven by the retailers, which can contact millions and millions. We are, as a luxury brands, connecting maybe with 0.1%, okay, of the total customers. But we are influencers. But having said that, a bigger change will definitely happen in the sector, okay, of the high streets, okay, from the street food to the little cafe, brasserie, okay, all these places really, which the groups, the big group like Wagamama, like McDonald's, like Costa Coffee, and all these are forming the core value of the bigger change. Okay, and that's exciting. I just have written somewhere, which I have lost because I keep losing everything, but it's quite interesting. The cheer, oh, my glasses. I always keep them there, but not today. Okay? You know, for example, if you take Costa Coffee, and just little changes, don't have to be big. Let's start slow. Let's build it up. Okay? Costa Coffee, 10 million of cups recycled this year, okay, after consulting a waste management consultancy. Okay, so then Wagamama now use a lot more plant-based. That means you don't have to grow protein, which are obviously polluting. We create green gas effects because, after all, agriculture is 30% responsible for the green gas effects, okay, and the pollution. Okay, you have Oaxaca, okay, which has been named the most sustainable group. You have Leon, who has been absolutely brilliant, 0 landfill, absolutely a model for the fast food industry, okay? You have Brasserie Blanc, I'm very proud, and I have one name to give, is Clive Fretwell, he's my chef. I trained him when he was no bigger than that. Now he runs his 50 chain restaurant at the highest level, homegrown food, home-cooked food, okay, using the very best supplier, because the best supplier will give you the best. You may have to pay a premium, but this will not. For example, think of a chicken which is in a little cage, all debeaked and defeathered, okay, under ultraviolet lights. Okay, of course you're going to pay your egg 6 or 7 pence. And I know because years ago when I moved from at the Manoir from a free-range egg to organic egg, it cost me £12,000 about 20 years ago. Just moving, so that means there is a cost, which will have, unfortunately, to be passed on to customers, because I'm sure you're not going to sponge it up, okay, because that is very expensive. Upgrading your food is an expensive process, but it's also about your brand and your brand values. Okay, so Brasserie Blanc has got my wonderful club, which I've trained with all my values, and I feel very proud of it because we're able to provide an experience to the guests, to families, a business machinery, which is affordable, which is ethical, okay, and has got hospitality at the very heart, branded at the very heart of one's. But the biggest, and I'm going to finish by the biggest last example, which I found extraordinary. And that's the least spoken about. 3 years ago, I gave McDonald's, you hear, McDonald's, okay, the Raymond Blanc Sustainability Hero Award. To McDonald's, me, a Frenchman who hates fast food, who hates McDonald's, who hated McDonald's, me giving this award to these people who used to... Okay. Okay. Why did I give this award? Because I have invested hundreds, dozens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of pounds at looking at their brand in the view of understanding what the big changes which were happening and they are benefiting now. That means they use all British farmers. They advise British farmers on sustainability. They help them and support them. They have all their pork is a ISPCA. All their eggs are free range for breakfast, are all free range. You know, and I told you about the cost of me changing my eggs costing me £12,000. So imagine how much the cost is. All their fish come from MSC. So effectively, they are changing completely their image. And imagine if the fast food industry was able to change, you know, their brand to quality, to local values, to use of minimum of pesticide, fertilizer, fungi, copper, sulfates. Imagine the world we could have, a much health, so that would connect with health, with society, with creating an environment as well which is cleaner, because of course agriculture is the biggest user of these chemicals. Okay, so I think I found that completely exciting, and that by way of competition, that I hope that all the other fast food giants will also react to it, and somehow bring to the millions. McDonald's serves 3.7 million guests, customers a day. That's quite interesting, really. I found that, because that's where the big change can really be so much more meaningful. Of course, luxury, having said that, is as important, because at the end, it's a fashion side, it's a more visible side, and if luxury, and you, each of you have got, as hotelier, restaurateur, you have an enormous ability to really change your business, because there's so many ways to do it. And please go to any of these fantastic helpers such as SAS, Green Hotelier, Timmy is fantastic as well. Go to these guys, ask them for advice of what you can change, whether it is water use, whether it is how can I buy, maybe should I buy a better boiler, more energy efficient boiler. No, it's looking at, and of course there's a cost to it, but I think it's worth it because then you are creating a business which is much more ethical, which also your employees will also, of course, that all goes very well with the welfare of your staff, pay your staff well, recognize, train them, do appraisals, proper inductions, etc., train, have a training program, because now staff is the biggest problem that we have. And of course, I don't want to talk about Brexit. This is not the right place. But I think we will have a bigger problem. But if we do create a good business, a business which is modern, imagine, to me, our industry is the most extraordinary industry. It touches everything. It touches art, it touches environment, it touches plumbery, it touches training, HR, PR, marketing, branding, it touches lighting, it touches everything. It's the most beautiful industry. It's a people industry, which delivers extraordinary experience. So imagine if we change, each of us change. Imagine the impact it would have on these parents, which years ago, because our industry years ago, if you were a chef, you had to have a frontal lobotomy, you had to be a social outcast, and an academic failure. Well, it's a bit like that. Okay, and we can change all that in creating an industry which is dynamic, which cares, which has ethical, works with the community, and deliver an extraordinary experience to the guests. And these parents would have never even thought of bringing their kids to our industry. They will. And I think it's worth fighting for, just for that.
So what about those restaurants that don't know where to start on this journey? You've talked about sustainability as a revolution, but one that can only happen in baby steps. So if you're an operator or a restaurateur, what is that first step on a kind of tenable, sustainable journey?
Yes. You cannot create a revolution in 5 years. It took 70 years of abuse and ignorance to be where we are. It's only these last 10 years or so that we are really reacting to this and be aware through media attention, of all these problems. So you cannot change suddenly 70 years of abuse into 5 years knowledge. It takes time. And what is really exciting now, really, is that knowledge is replacing ignorance. And knowledge is empowering. Knowledge makes you stronger. And knowledge is what do you call it? It brings people together. And I think that's where we are now. We are in a wonderful moment where we can actually establish all the damage which has been created and how we can, together, individually and collectively, change completely our industry. And we can. And we will. And we can. And I believe that strongly. What was the question?
So that first step, if you're thinking, okay, I want to make my business more sustainable, where do you start?
The second part of your question. Okay. I think first, assessment. Do an assessment of your business. First, do you have the will? You need to have the will. Then, following the will, you need to have the team. Your team, from GM to right down to the commis or washer up, needs to get involved, needs to believe in it. If you don't believe in it, don't even start changing it. Then take professionals to help you and guide you and support you to somehow look at your business and somehow, and I know you know your business very, very well, but you'll be amazed what a professional body, on sustainability, on recycling, on management, can add to your business. And they'll see all sorts of things that you cannot see. And I think those people will help you. So it's a will, your team to do it, because you do that together as a team, okay, and then take a body which can help you to create all the challenges, whether it is a choice of food you're buying, are you cooking it, are you using an auger, which is so energy wasteful, or are you using a bull ring, or are you using induction? No, for example, no, I'm changing as a Manoir after 35 years, all the extraction side. I've got 12 bull rings in my kitchen. So when you're in front of that fire, believe me, everything burns. Your hands burn. The heat extraction is an enormous machinery which occupies that size of the upstairs above the kitchen, because it's so old and vetused, and of course very energy. It saps energy, extracts energy a great deal. Okay, so that I'm going to change all to induction and a little bit of gas. And that will liberate a whole room upstairs to centralize, to reorganize all of our administration so we can be even more together as a team. And I will save, I didn't quantify all the saving now, but maybe next year, if you reinvite me, I will have my little notepad and tell you exactly what are the savings. I think it's worth it.
So let's talk about transparency then. So how important is it for...
Sorry. Okay, so that's one part of it, okay? So then after, when you do such changes, you have to say it. Do it and say it. Say it to your community, say it to your media. And for example, at the moment, I worked 7 years to create a 85% completely organic and biodynamic wine list. Within 3 months, I will be in all the international newspapers, because each of these organic growers are the greatest, best artisan. There's a people story, an agricultural story, and then it's sellable. It really can sell. So there's so many choices you can make, which you can translate, okay, into good marketing, and of course help your brand image and your brand values, and you become credible.
So I think that covered the transparency issue anyway, because obviously it's really about being open about what your business is doing to be more sustainable, and the more that people can shout about that, the better. Moving on then to food trends, because we've discussed this a little bit before, and I know that you think that veganism and vegetarianism are not something that is a flash in the pan. You think this is going to reflect how we will all be eating in the future. So I was wondering if you can talk a little bit about that.
I didn't say that at all. You're making it up. Bad interviewer.
What's in this? Well, I think, maybe the next generation, it's how they will be eating, perhaps. So I was wondering if you can talk about the kind of reduction in protein and the increase in vegetables, and how you think that that's going to affect the kind of food economy.
I'm sure in these rooms, okay, there are large groups, there are single independent and great hotels and restaurants. There are chains. Okay, I think all of us have seen a number of mega changes which are happening. Now we have a consumer who is knowledgeable, who is aware, who is more responsible. He understands the extraordinary complexity of the problems. This consumer is your customer as well. That means he will put a lot of pressure on you. So why to wait until to bring pressure for him to bring pressure and for you to lose business when you can actually fix through a number of years and maybe a bit of investment this problem? I think that's a crucially important. You can really it's the way we're going to eat. This is no doubt in terms. I told you agriculture is about 30%. Of the global warming and greenhouse effects. So that means we have to change. You've got to understand, when you put a kilogram of beef on the table, it will take 16,000 liters of water. Water is going to be a commodity which is not going to be cheap very soon, and is going to be more and more rarefied in so many places. So I think we need to change the way we eat. Our health is not good. It's abnormal to eat 12 times a week proteins. Is abnormal. It's not good. Okay, so effectively, yes, more and more we're going to mix our diets to bring in, I didn't say all of it, okay? Okay, mix our diets, much more. Chefs now are exciting because at last they're reconnecting, the British chefs, and the Dutch chefs, I've done that for years, but they're reconnecting, okay, with their terroir, with their values, with their farmers, with their fishmongers, and that is exciting. With truth, with authenticity. So I think we are moving to a different place. Equally, to me, veganism, I remember the first day I opened, that goes back in 1977, okay? In my little restaurant, les Quat'Saisons, the 4 seasons, to honor my parents' values, okay? The first thing I did was to do a full vegetarian menu way back in 1977. Everyone laughed. What is he doing? You know, of course, I had 0.01% sales, okay? But, but now, as a chefs to me, food is all about creativity. And give me some vegetables, and I will make heaven out of them. I will give you a dish, not a vegan dish, a dish which will be whole, complete, beautiful, tasty, and so creative. So I think chefs now are understanding that, and they look at veganism as a way, as a mean to effectively to be even more creative. And it's really an exciting thing, because it's all part of the new makeup. Okay, this introduction to veganism, which is not a trend, it's there to last, and we have to change the way we eat as well. Simple as that.
Well, unfortunately, we're out of time now. Annoyingly, I'm sure a lot of you have questions for Raymond, so I believe you will be sticking around for a little while. So if anyone has anything they'd like to ask, maybe you can grab them over a coffee. But I'd like to thank you very much for joining us and sharing your passion.
Merci.
Great.